Hi, I'm Mark Gaylor, Sony Digital Imaging Ambassador. Welcome to my lens preview for the FE100-400 f5.6-F8 OSS, which is optical steady shot. Now here are the lens specifications. It's not very long, it's not got a great girth or diameter. It has a filter diameter of just 67 millimeters, and if you look at the weight there, it's 654 grams, so it's a bit of a lightweight telephoto zoom lens. Now for those who are already aware of Sony's lens lineup, you're probably saying, but surely Sony already have two other 100-400 telephoto lenses, and you would be correct in thinking that. We have the top one there from 2017, which weighs in just over 3 pounds or 1,395 grams. It's got external zoom. That was updated this year with the FE100-400 f4.5 G Master. Now that comes in at 4 pounds or 1,840 grams. It's significantly larger because it's got internal zoom and it's 2/3 of a stop brighter than that 2017 version. Now obviously Sony were thinking if we can make a larger and brighter aperture lens, maybe we can make an even smaller at the expense of that aperture. So we have this new 100-400 with a maximum aperture of f8 at 400 millimeters, and you can see we've shaved off quite a lot of size, and it's less than half the weight of that 100-400 f5.6 maximum aperture G Master there. A lot of people who are interested in something a lot smaller are probably going to be interested in this new lens. Now I've got some specification comparisons here with the other two 100-400 lenses there. Now if we just drill down, if you're interested in something that's smaller, lighter and cheaper, then you're obviously going to be swinging over to that column on the left, which is the new lens. If you're looking for absolute image quality and performance specifications, then you're going to go over to the right side of that comparison chart, where you're going to find a lens with linear XD focus motors and a bright f4.5 aperture, but of course that is significantly larger than this new lens here. Now I'm going to be shooting with this lens shortly as soon as I can get my hands on one, and I'll be posting raw files to my patreon.com/Mark Gaylor support channel. I'll also add this lens to my Lens Choice ebook. The question is if we have something a lot smaller and lighter and cheaper, and we have the high performance lens, is that 2017 G Master going to survive in Sony's lens lineup? And I have no idea. I've got no idea whether Sony is planning to support three 100-400 telephoto zoom lens, or whether they're just going to condense their lens lineup and just have the cheaper, smaller one and the high performance one, which is the 4.5 100-400. Now the lens that actually comes closest in specifications to this lens is something that you can't actually use on your Sony Alpha camera. It comes from Canon. We've got the same sort of lens specs, 100-400, 9 aperture blades, similar sort of size, weight, cost, and it's also got that 0.41 times magnification ratio, which I'm going to be talking about, which is a great feature actually. And this is a feature that actually surpasses the other two 100-400 lenses that I've been showcasing there. If we're looking at the competing 100-400 lightweight zooms from companies such as Sigma and Tamron, now they have a 6.3 maximum aperture, and that does mean they're going to be significantly larger and heavier, and of course a little bit more expensive than the new Sony lens. Just to give you that size comparison actually on a camera, you can see that Sony lens is appreciably smaller, and it is going to be a lot lighter than that Sigma lens there. And of course with that magnification ratio, the Tamron had actually a 0.5 magnification ratio, but that Sony has 0.41 magnification ratio, which is a lot bigger than the Sigma. And this is of course very useful for photographers wanting to do close-up work, maybe insects, etc. Just to show you that comparison with the older 100-400, which did have a very good 0.35 times magnification ratio, and that was enough for a lot of photographers to shoot very small wildlife. Here's a very small tree frog filling the frame using that 100-400 G Master. Now this new 100-400 f5.6-F8 zoom actually has a better magnification ratio at 0.41. So we are going to be photographing very small critters with this new lens, and a lot of photographers will be drawn to that. Now I'm also a fan of the bigger telephoto lenses, and one of my favorites is that 300 f2.8 G Master, much wider aperture, but it's a much bigger lens and I have to put it into a backpack to carry it. So sometimes I actually want to carry just a medium-sized sling bag. This is not even a large sling bag, it's classified as a 7L sling bag. When I'm traveling really light, this is all I'm prepared to carry on one shoulder for the entire day. And being a sling bag, it gives me quick access to the gear. I can get even faster access because when I travel I do like to carry a second spare body, and so I typically travel with a 2070 f4G and a 70-200 f4 macro G2. Now I can extend the reach of that f4 macro by putting teleconverters on that, and that is the way that I've been bumping it up to that 400mm reach. When I'm wanting to travel really light, I do pack the two Sony lenses that are known for their small form factor and good magnification ratio. This is the 2070 f4G and the 70-200 f4 macro G2. That medium-sized sling bag really doesn't take the f2.8 G Masters, so these are very, very sharp lenses. All I'm giving away is that one extra aperture there. Now, because I'm also carrying a teleconverter, either the 1.4 times teleconverter or the 2 times teleconverter, I do give myself a 20 to 400mm range there. And with that 2 times tele, I do get 1.1 macro capability as well. So this has served me very well, but I am actually quite interested in this new 100-400 because of its lightweight and its extra reach. Some people are going to say, well, are you going to actually get enough figure ground separation? Now, I'm used to, when I'm working with that f4 7200, I have figure ground separation in plenty. I am using the longer focal lengths to get good figure ground separation for the portraits I shoot. It's fast enough to shoot birds in flight with good figure ground separation of the background. And it's also giving me that close-up capability. Even with the 1.4 times teleconverter, I can drop into APS-C mode and get that 1.1 macro capability there. And remember, all of this is going in that medium-sized sling bag. When I'm looking at that 100-400, I'm very interested to know, is that going to go into that sling bag? And because it's a very similar size to that 70-200 f4G, it is going to go into that sling bag quite easily, even when attached to the camera. So the real competing lenses from Sony's own lens lineup for this is not the other 100-400 G Master telephoto zooms. It's from their range of black lenses. Typically the E70-350, this admittedly is an APS-C lens, so if you're shooting say on an Alpha 7CR, you're going to drop down to 26 megapixels from your 60 megapixels. But that might be enough for many photographers, and it is possibly the lightest of these three options here. Now on the right side, we've got the 70-300 f4-5.6. This is the oldest of these three lenses. It's not got super fast linear XT focus motors, and it is limited to the 300mm zoom. For a lot of people who are looking for more reach, that is going to be a deciding factor whether you go for that one or the new lens in the middle. One of the things that may make this the choice for people wanting more reach is we can attach a teleconverter to this new 100-400. Even though it's one of the black lenses, that teleconverter can be used either the 1.4 or 2 times teleconverter. Now we can't use 2 times teleconverter or 1.4 times teleconverter on the APS-C lens, so maximum reach is going to come with that 100-400. Now just before you rule out that APS-C lens, I have used this with the R cameras when 26 megapixels is enough. It is a sharp, fast focusing lens, so if you're looking for something small, light, affordable, and maybe you also own an APS-C camera, this might be the lens of choice for you. And as you can see from these shots, it actually performs really well even with birds in flight. I've drawn up this comparison chart with those lightweight options, and I've also added in the 70-200 f4 macro G2 as well. Now that one that I have been using in my medium-sized sling bag is the most expensive of that, at $1,698 at the time of making this. You also have to factor in another $600 for one of those teleconverters, so that does make that the expensive option. It does, however, have the linear XD focus motors, so that might be a draw card for you. But of course the cheapest of these is the new 100-400 F5.6-F8, coming in at just $849 at the time of creating this preview video. Now a lot of people are going to be saying, can I really work with a telephoto zoom lens that only has a maximum aperture at f8 at that 400mm reach? So I thought I'd just give you a couple of examples at that sort of focal range at the f8 aperture. So here I've been using it for motorsports, where I often do want to close the aperture down so I can use the longer shutter speeds, typically 1/250th or 1/320th of a second, and that often does mean that I'm stopping the aperture down to f8 in order to get those longer shutter speeds when we're working in full sun. So I am quite used to capturing at f8. Even with my 300mm GMAS, I will find myself stopping down to f8 if I don't have that circular polarizing filter and the little filter drawer on the back of that 300 prime. The lens performs really well at f8 for the autofocus performance and also sharpness. The f8 doesn't really put me off for motorsports. Also, when I've been using the 2x teleconverter on that 7200 f4 lens, the working aperture does drop down to f8, so I am still used to working at that f8 aperture on the lens that I've previously been using as my light travel telephoto zoom. Also, when I'm working very close to very small critters and my depth of field is getting really thin when I'm working really close up, I will stop down from that f4 to f8 aperture if I need to expand that depth of field out. So macro photography, if the light is bright enough, I will be stopping down to that f8 aperture anyway. As you can see from these examples, if I had shot this wide open at f4, I really wouldn't have sufficient depth of field. Even then I've had to back up and then crop in tighter in post just to expand the depth of field even more. When I'm working with larger wildlife and I'm working very close, I still will try and stop down to f8 if the light permits. Now that's not a problem when you're working at the telephoto range. You're still going to get great figure ground separation because the depth of field does decrease as you get closer to your subject matter as well. When I'm working really close, I will often stop down to f11, and still at f11 with this telephoto zoom, I think this is the 100-400 at 400mm, I'm still not getting enough depth of field to get the front of this frog's nose in sharp focus, although I'm now getting both of the eyes in sharp focus. So depth of field is something that I'm used to stopping down to f8 on these telephoto zooms, so I don't find that f8 aperture on this new lens to be off-putting. Now we have come a long way in recent years as well with the AI denoise and noise reduction programs, and so if you are worried about noise, I don't think that would be a deciding factor for me. I've also used to stopping down to f8 when I'm photographing small birds taking off. Now often the first 2 frames after launch, it is possible that the camera just takes a little bit of time to catch up with the moving bird. So if I just expand the depth of field out a little bit, I am much more confident that I'm going to get a whole sequence of images of a small bird taking off in sharp focus. And so this was typically what I was finding when I was shooting with these swallows in flight taking off and landing. I was using the smaller apertures anyway. Now some people are going to want reach even more than 400mm, and this is an option when working with this new 100-400. One, because we can add a teleconverter. I could add the 1.4 times teleconverter. I will get a working aperture now of f11, but I will get an increased reach of 560mm. The option 2 is actually to work into APS-C mode. This gives me a 1.5 times crop factor, so we're now working with a 600mm equivalent angle of view. Now one of the problems with that particular option is we are working with less resolution, either the 26 megapixels resolution of a camera such as the Alpha 6700, or we're working with 26 megapixels on an Alpha 7CR in crop mode. If you're wanting the longest reach with absolutely the lightest weight, One of the ways of achieving that is just to reduce the sensor size. So I'm showing the new 100-400 mounted to an Alpha 6700 camera. We are working with that F8 aperture because we're not using teleconverters, and we are working with the full resolution of the Alpha 6700 camera, 26 megapixels. So that's quite a nice form factor. If you're wanting something even smaller, really you've got to reduce the sensor size even further. And there is an option from Sony. You could consider using the RX10-5 camera. This uses a Type 1 sensor. Now the actual focal length on that particular fixed lens on that camera maxes out at 210 millimeters, but when you apply the crop factor you get a 600 millimeters angle of view. Now some people will be put off by the very small Type 1 sensor, knowing that it has reduced dynamic range and it will lead to more noise. But remember, with that RX10 you will be working with an effective F4 aperture at 600 millimeters angle of view, and you will have 30 frames per second courtesy of its stacked sensor. Even though we've got a larger sensor in that APS-C Alpha 6700, you will be working with ISO that's 4 times higher than the RX10-5. So that gives the RX10-5 a much closer ballpark figure to that crop sensor choices. So we've got either the RX10-5 or the Alpha 6700, and obviously the smallest form factor of both of those is going to be that Type 1 sensor on the RX10-5 camera. If you need more help choosing the most appropriate gear for you as a photographer, then just remember that I will give consultancy support on my patreon.com/Mark Gaylor support channel. I've also got ebooks for all of the late model cameras and also other topics on photography. I've got Q&A forums for one-on-one consultancy. I've got member-only seminars. I've got raw files from all of my lens and camera reviews, and I've also got camera setup files, often referred to as cam set files. So here's a range of the ebooks that I've covered in the last few years, and these are 600 and 700 page ebooks, which goes into great depth about getting the most appropriate groups of settings for shooting particular genres of photography. Now, if you've enjoyed this lens preview, just remember to give me the thumbs up and head over to patreon.com where I can give you additional support. I'm Mark Gaylor, Sony Digital Imaging Ambassador.